Thank you. It's wonderful to be here yet again on this magical journey. What else can we call it? I had a really interesting experience last year. I was very ill for a while. I had a brain hemorrhage, and I was flown to hospital in England. While I was waiting in hospital, I was having a chat to you guys, saying, "No, this is not it. I'm staying. I don't want to go just yet. I've got too much to do." And
so the experience caused a specific focusing of desire. Do you think you needed to say the words, or do you think the experience itself made your intention clear?
Oh, a combination of the both. A combination of the both.
Well, we would say to you, you don't have to say anything.
Yeah. Anyway, I went through the experience, but as I was being taken into hospital, I think you'll like this little story, I saw butterflies painted on the wall. And it kind of registered in my sort of consciousness. And after I'd had the operation, I phoned a few friends to say that I was fine. And being tired, I tried to go to sleep, but I couldn't because I was too excited. I was
happy
over
to be
the moon
alive.
that I was still here. It was just wonderful to be alive.
It's almost like a being born again, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. It's like I've got a new lease on life and I'm here for the next 50 years.
And you don't have to go off through that childhood stuff.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It was really wonderful to be alive. And the program, I switched on a little overhead TV, and the program that came on was Butterflies with a song by Dolly Parton. Meanwhile, my friend Janice, who's here with me, she'd heard that I was not well and in hospital, and she'd sent me a signed copy of your CD, A New Adventure. What did it have on the front? Beautiful butterfly. So that was really a whole new episode, a new lease on life for me. But there were a couple.
So can you feel? Now we know that you know that is creation, and we know that those butterflies were symbolic of connection.
Yes.
Do you know that in your state of being, where you were focusing and then not focusing? Now, we really want you to hear this, because as you were being wheeled in, you said, or out. In other words, at what point did you see the first butterflies on the wall?
It was as I was being taken into the hospital.
So, as you focused upon those butterflies and you paused long enough to reflect upon them, and then what followed subsequently was a period of time where, for whatever reason, there was less resistance than usual, a sort of resolve and recognition, a sort of willingness to let go and let God, a sort of allowing. And under those conditions, then an avalanche of what you had focused upon began to flow into your experience. And we don't want to glide through this without pointing out to you that that is the way everything is supposed to be. In other words, you should be able to just that softly focus upon anything and ponder it as something interesting or as something wanted, and the universe should be able to orchestrate for you quickly endless streams of ways to rendezvous with that. That's the way it all works.
Oh, they did. It really had a sort of magnificent conclusion, and I wouldn't even, if I had my time again, I wouldn't go back and change the experience, because it brought such a lot of good feelings to me. And of course,
so you're telling us that you didn't mind having a brain hemorrhage and the subsequent thing that followed because of the clarification of desire that happened within you?
Yes, that's right, because it brought such a new feeling.
Isn't that a wonderful thing? In other words, now we want to say to you, you don't have to go that far.
I know.
You don't have to go that far, but Isn't it nice that from wherever you are, good things will still come in response to the clarification that comes to you?
Oh,
yes.
Absolutely. And there was a couple of things that came out of that, because after the hospital I was sent back home and I stayed in a friend's house, which was really nice. And I was lying in the bed on the first morning, the sun was shining through the windows and the shadows were dancing on the wall. And I thought, it's just so wonderful to be alive. It's a wonderful world. I was just full of appreciation for everything. And after a while, I just switched on the radio. The first song that came on was "What a Wonderful World." And it was just like, whoa. And you couldn't have put a better song on for me. It was just amazing. And then another one came on, which was "Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand. Make this world a better place if you can." And I really got choked at the time. And then another song came on, and it's like, hey, you're playing all my favorite songs. The universe just lined them up, one after the other.
Well, it's always that way
magical.
for newborns. In other words, everything always goes their way.
Yeah.
And somehow in this process, in other words, you were disengaged enough from your normal life experience that you stopped for a while, you took a breather on offering the usual vibrations that you offered, and became totally selfishly oriented, where all kinds of people and all kinds of circumstances began converging in order to make you the center of the universe. And as you bathed in that sort of energy and expectation, avalanches of well-being began flowing to you. And as we said earlier, you do not have to have a brain hemorrhage in order to bring that about. But there's something about the shifting of experience that sometimes puts you in a place of more willingness to allow good things to come to you.
Oh, absolutely. And as I lay there with sort of tears of joy just streaming down my face, the next song that came on was "Cry Baby Cry." And I thought, don't you guys ever stop?
No.
You don't. I know that. It was really good. There was a couple of other things that came out of that, because a couple of days later, in the morning I woke up about 2 o'clock and a friend rang me. And he said he'd only got a few seconds left on his mobile phone, but he wanted to make sure that I was okay. And I said, yeah, I'm absolutely fine. And we started talking, and his mobile battery was flat. It would normally have gone off in about 30 seconds, and we talked for over an hour on his mobile phone. And it's like, oh, okay, well, where did the energy come from that? And a lot of the things that I felt, I was in the flow, and it felt like a good connection to source energy that was flowing through me. And that was a wonderful experience. That was a real buzz and a real high. And that carried on for quite a while.
And so, can you feel the potency of an experience like that? In other words, can you feel the focused desire that comes from something that feels so important? Can you feel how the power of desire was launched in a more specific and therefore more powerful way than usual?
Oh, yes.
And can you feel how the circumstances that surrounded it caused you to, for whatever reason, relax and allow?
Yeah.
And what we want to lay over the top of this for all of you, because sometimes when people tell stories like this, where true vibrational motion forward and changed life experience forevermore results, it makes bodies of people in audiences say, well, maybe I need a dramatic experience like that to jumpstart my life experience in a new, revived way. And we want you all to realize that we had revivals today with person after person as we just made incremental vibrational jumps. In other words, we want you to feel that without the brain hemorrhage, and we don't mind that you had it, we enjoyed every part of it as you did, but without going that far before you got clear about what you wanted and before you began allowing, you can begin moving up this emotional spectrum, and you can have every bit as much evidence of movement in your experience from spending 5 or 10 or 15 minutes getting from despair to anger as you did in all of that experience having a brain hemorrhage. Does that make sense to you? In other words, when you begin, all that happened was through that experience you moved vibrationally. And because you moved vibrationally, all kinds of things started happening to you. And so what we are suggesting is, why not make the move earlier? But But why not do it on purpose also, so that you can be in on all of the things that happen? You see, an experience like that makes you begin to look for miracles. It makes you begin to look. Our friend earlier was talking about how she suspects that all kinds of things are happening, but she misses some of them. And we want you to realize that when you start doing the emotional guidance scale work, and you have actually felt yourself improved in the way that you feel, and you consciously acknowledge, I know I have shifted vibrationally, then stop and begin looking for the miracles, and it is our promise to you that they will come. You're not ever again going to have to do anything like that. But we want to say to you that even something as dramatic as that is going to wear off pretty soon. In other words, those things that happen, as dramatic as they are not enough to carry you through a whole lifetime. And you don't want to have a sequence of brain hemorrhages in order to keep getting revived. In other words, move up the emotional scale and get the same benefit from it. Yes?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.